I'd like to call this meeting to order for the special called meeting today, April the 5th, 2016, at 6 p.m. If we can all rise for the invocation. Mr. Arjona, can you lead us in an invocation?
Bow our heads. Thank you, Lord, for the blessing you have bestowed upon us. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought and speech. Pour your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today and always. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
You can face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We all may be seated. Under presentations, a presentation on the proposed Spring High School Basketball League and partnership with PSJISD. Mr. Ponce.
Mayor, Commissioners, if I may real quick.
Sure.
The PSJ School District approached Mr. Ponce sometime last week, a couple of weeks ago, in regards to partnering with the city in what they call the Spring Basketball League. It's I think it's something good for our community that is not going to cost us a penny. Mr. Ponce is here to give us a presentation on that.
Okay.
Mayor, members of the commission. PSJ has always been a very good, willing partner, obviously, with our programs. Usually, we are the ones that are reaching out to them to kind of assist us with the function, with the facilitating of our programs. We use their facilities, we lose a lot of resources. And a few weeks ago, as Mr. Arjona mentioned, they did contact our office wanting to do a spring basketball league. Now, our department at this point does not do really anything past the age of 15. Primarily baseball being the sport where we have some 14, 15-year-old kids. But we don't have anything for our older kids. What they're proposing is that we do that they want to run a league out of PSJA, which previously was done in FAR. They're asking us if we could facilitate the registration process and the payment of the officials. They cannot do that themselves, but what they can do is they can run the league for us. And they proposed a budget that essentially, with the fee that they have stated, with the estimated number of teams, would essentially cover all the cost. My understanding, the understanding that I try to come with the coach, is that the city does not have any resources right now, since it was not allocated in our budget to run this program, that it have to be self-sustainable, and that we can't add any staff, we can't monitor the games, they would be responsible for all that at no cost to the city. The only cost that we would incur would be, again, the processing of the registration process and the payment of the officials, which that process was where we process that paperwork. We would have to, essentially, any money we take in, we would have to pay out. And that's something that we'd have to work with finance. The thing is that it is short notice. We'd have to find an avenue to where we could essentially deposit that money and then expend it back to pay those officials and to pay for the T-shirts. The cost would be paying the payment of the officials and the payment of the T-shirts. And in the proposed budget that they have, that's essentially what would cover with the fees that are generated. And this would be not just open to PSJ high schools, it would be open to, I believe there's 12 high schools that they're looking at to commit. They're all the surrounding high schools, and they're there before you. Hidalgo, Valley View, of course, all the PSJ schools, La Jolla, McAllen, Edinburgh. These leagues are pretty common, specifically like throughout the summer, but now they're trying to do it for the spring. It would be what they would consider a junior varsity and a varsity schedule.
And what are you recommending, Mr. Ponce?
I think it's a good opportunity for us to start serving the kids who are over 14, something that we haven't done before. If there's no cost to us, that I really don't see much on the city's part. The only issue that we have that we discussed with Mr. Juan and I is the general liability. We do have an agreement with PSJ when we use their facilities that essentially our insurance would cover it. If there is an issue with insurance, there's enough in the budget to purchase general liability insurance. We got a quote for that already. We went out for quotes for general liability, which we purchased for our leagues, so we could do that as well. So on the negative, we have to buy liability insurance with their funds. On the positive, we don't have to buy that insurance, then we can keep that extra revenue that comes in, which would be like $1,700, like $1,800.
What do you estimate that how many of our kids here locally would be participating?
I would say maybe, well, since PSJ High School would be one of the participants, I would say maybe about 15 to 20 at the most. It is something that is not specifically just for our kids.
Right,
it's
right.
valley-wide, but, well, within the area. But it is an opportunity for our kids to get a little more exposure, more practice, all those initial benefits that come with participating in extracurricular activities. So right now they're in their off season.
I see.
Yeah, and they don't want to do something like this for the summer. Traditionally, FAR has done it. Edinburgh's done it. They've done those leagues in the summer where a Parks and Rec will sponsor a league like this, and you have kids from all over the valley come in and participate. Yeah, they do the same thing for flag football as well.
Saying 20 games a week, that's like that's 3 games a week basically, or yeah, 20 games a week. Number of games per week. 20.
Yes, because they'll play twice, I think, in the same day. Yeah, and we're doing it all at their gyms. They're doing it at PSJ and at PSJ Southwest.
And this is Monday through Friday?
I believe so. They haven't compiled the schedule yet, but they would do scheduling. They would handle the monitoring of the games. They would essentially do
Everything
all that.
that just
Yeah, we're just facilitating it for them.
Very good.
Yeah, this would be kind of different than what we've done before, but that's something that, and like I said, it kind of caught us by surprise. They just kind of brought this to us at the last minute, and we're something we want to consider. And I'm sure there's some things that we probably need to work out, but I think it's a good opportunity as well. We haven't done before.
So you mentioned on the fee was $35 per player.
Yes.
And that covers the and the referee.
Yes. That is what he's estimated with the cost. That would go towards the T-shirts, would typically cost us like $4 to $5 a shirt for the team, and then of course to cover the officials' price. And there's I have a budget there that kind of breaks down that they provided for us.
Again, it's 5 days out of the week?
I believe so. Now I don't think they would be playing every day.
It would be 4 games.
And I'll be honest, Commissioner, I think we haven't talked about the schedule itself, because they would facilitate the schedule. They're the ones that would do it between both gyms.
It is on this
Yes.
paperwork that you gave.
Yeah,
us.
on the budget, yes. As
Yeah,
far as
it does show that it is Monday or Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday. It's 2 days out of the week.
and well, as far as the number of games, I think that as far as the schedule is concerned, like they have not created a schedule. They need to see how many teams, which would determine how many games they would play. This is more of an estimation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta
it's more-
remember that most of the high schools now have 2 gyms, so they
Yeah.
2-3 games at the one time,
Yeah.
very easy.
Yeah, PSJ has 2 gyms, and then PSJ Southwest has 2 gyms, so they would be running those games. And what they do at times, and I just, as an example that I've seen, is that what they'll do is they'll run the courts, I guess not the traditional way. They have courts on the side as well, which they'll have 2 games going on at the same time. Sometimes they do that. So yeah, we're really not going to be involved in the organizing, the scheduling. There's no coaches involved, as the teams don't have coaches. The kids just show up to play. Yeah.
Pablo would say, sounds good.
Sounds good. And that was my main concern, that doesn't come at any cost to us besides the processing.
That's a good
So who's going to be promoting, the district, or we are as well
The
too?
district. They're gonna go, and the coaches are gonna go to all the high schools.
Okay, yeah.
And primarily this is gonna be for junior varsity and varsity players.
Okay.
So it's kind of like they're going into their own schools. They do this every year. It's very common.
Sure.
It's very common. I did it in high school as well. When I was in high school, they got a lot of our players to go and
Right.
join this league, and you play.
And this is something that happens also, like Mr. Ponce mentioned, during the summer, especially with the 7-on-7. So this is not something that is new, that we're reinventing the wheel. It's just that they contacted the city of San Juan to help them out, facilitate them with this process. Obviously, they can do that, take part into that because of UIL violations that they can incur. But this is, like Mr. Ponce said, it's something that they've always partnered with us, and I think it's something good for the city to work with them as well.
They
Very
approached
good.
me about 7 and 7 as well, but I told them that one thing at a time.
Sure.
What about 35 and over league? Are they gonna, I'm joking.
That is in the future plans. We're working on that.
Keep in mind also, they did a partnership with FAR on softball for elementary girls from fifth. And they just had it this Saturday in Las Milpas. And it was pretty neat having all this. My little girl participated. She was all excited, and they were out there weeks practicing, and I think so. It was all female, so that's really neat. Getting those girls involved in softball, and it's something that comes to us. Keep it in mind that it was really enjoyable, and have you seen all those parents out there in the South? They started with South Far, and they want to be doing it every other 2-3 months, having tournaments. So if something comes by from Savannah, the coordinator for the elementaries, keep it in mind. That was pretty good.
I would definitely will, Commissioner. They're always approaching me with things. It's just really a matter of we can do it. They have the means, and it's really if we can fit it in. But we work closely with them. I work closely with Mr. Chavana and Coach Garcia as well to make sure that we're on the same page. We serve the same kids.
Very good. You don't need any action on this, is that correct? You're just presenting?
No, just if there's any
Make it a swear.
questions. Yes, it's not an action item, but if there's some issues that we could bring it back, and there's some concerns.
Are there any other questions?
The concession, Mr. Ponce, concession stand, who will be running it?
They would run the concession stand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because I'm reading here that the league costs include the team jersey, the scorebooks, trophies, game officials, as well as a percentage of concession items weekly. Whatever is left over, according to this, will be applied to next year's operating costs, so we wouldn't keep it.
We don't keep the concession stand. The way the budget's set up right now with the insurance, we just found out about the insurance recently, that we may keep that, is that the way it works is that we're not going to make any money, they're not going to make any money. But that was the way it was initially planned. Now, with this thing that we might save some insurance, we haven't had the discussion yet. Now, the concessions, they want to run the concessions, which also, it'd be difficult for me to hire somebody just to go run concessions.
Right.
We wouldn't make any money either way. Yeah. So these are the things that I can go back, because this is a proposal. There's things that we can iron out, and we can say, we'll do it on these conditions, and we'll operate like this. Really, and we're trying to expedite this. He was trying to get it obviously done as soon as possible. But there's some room where we could work out those details. With the bottom line being is that nothing comes out of our pocket, because we don't have to give. So.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Ponce. Under Section 5A, discussion and action on Cinco de Mayo festival event. Mr. Arjona.
Yes, ma'am, Commissioners and Mayor. Before you have a breakdown of estimated expenditure for the Cinco de Mayo, and as you know, the EDC is no longer taking part of this event. And one of the things that the EDC was very big on was the entertainment part of it, which included the bands and the stage, VIP section. However, at this point, with the funding that we have available, we feel that we can probably take care of the whole event ourselves and maybe make a little bit of money at the end. So what we're asking here is direction as to how do you want us to proceed? Should we take on the Cinco de Mayo festival event? And if so, this is an estimated expenditures that we estimated it based on figures that were given by the last Cinco de Mayo. And we feel very strong that with the funding and the expenditures that we have here, the breakdown, we should be able to come up ahead.
Which is the 52,000.
Something like that, yes.
That includes the overtime as well, sir?
That'll be including the overtime.
So that's already included.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not including overtime, sorry, ma'am.
What's the 9,000 showing?
That's a profit that we estimated. Now, we did speak to a representative from another company, from a company that what they do is pretty much they broke it's a broker type of thing. They get the bands, the stage, and it's not a contract, but it's on the next item. We spoke to this gentleman, and he's proposing that he can pretty much give us, for $35,000, he can probably get 3 bands, and maybe the stage as well. And with that, he's pretty much saying we can get 10,000 per band, and if it's less or more, we can make it up on the other band, so that we can make this a success. Now, he's considering that he will take care of the sponsors, and as many as he can get, He was talking to us exclusive rights with the Miller Lite, and being the exclusive sponsors for the event. Now he's gonna try to get some more sponsors, given the time frame. We don't know at this point how many sponsors we're gonna be getting. However, he's willing to work with us on a certain percentage based on the expenses that we're gonna, let's say the 35,000, he work on a certain percentage based on that. We met with the staff, and we feel that going this route, because of the time that we currently have, it's May the 7th, the Cinco de Mayo event, and we feel that with this gentleman, that's what they do. I mean, that he's done it for the city of Dana and different other locations, and they've been very successful. So he comes over to the city of San Juan and do the same. And that'll take away from us doing the legwork as far as contacting some of them. We're not in the business of going out and getting some performers or entertainers. We don't know that industry, but these guys, that's what they do, and you know, they're coming back with some groups and bands, and hopefully, and then we'll bring them back to you all.
How did you find this guy?
He came over to us.
Yeah.
He approached us, and then we also approached a couple of other brokers. We made an attempt for a couple more brokers.
Yes, I actually reached out to about three.
Three more.
I was only able to get a hold of one that actually came through with a proposal. There's not too many people who do this type of work. As far as there's a lot of concert promoters, but not a lot of event promoters. We did get the paperwork you see that I believe we attached to their packet, right? That's one that we got today. But in comparison to what we got from the other gentleman, he doesn't have as much experience, and it's not as well put together. It's not really. It's not exactly for, you know, because I think it's a lack of experience on this other individual. So there's something that was the only two that we could get, which is the contract that was reviewed, and of course the that proposal that right there.
This gentleman that came over, he's very thorough as far as the event is concerned, starting with even the food vendors. But in this case, we're taking care of the food vendors. But he said, if you like, I can take care of the pretty much the whole event. You guys don't have to do it. But for this time around, I think if everything goes right, we can consider that he can come in and do the just the entertainment part of it, and also the stage, which is something that is out of our league, I think. But
What about the liability on if he's booking the bands? Like last year, the EDC did 17,000 with La Mafia, and then lost all of that amount.
That's on the contract, man. That's on.
I think that you're talking about the insurance?
Yeah, the insurance.
the
So
insurance-
if something
that
were to
was my
happen,
That's gonna be on him.
He's bonded.
Yeah.
He's bonded, so the insurance liability would fall on him as the event promoter.
And what about last year? They weren't bonded or what?
We had insurance, but it was the insurance policy we have did not cover. I think Mr. Villalobos can.
That Johan last year had that. It was for so much of rain at McAllen Miller Airport. So it may have rained quite a bit over there, even though the event was over here. And that was what the issue. That's why there was no coverage. It specifically stated at the airport.
Now, do you have the, by any chance, Mr. Ponce, the total cost last year's Cinco de Mayo?
I don't have that with me, Mayor Pro Tem, but I could provide the commission
Do
with
you know a
that.
ballpark figure?
It was probably close to $50,000, roughly the same, but that would be the cost of the city. That's not including the costs that the EDC burden.
Participated with.
Yeah, the EDC probably spent about, I believe, about 50,000 as well. Pablo, is that right?
I don't know. We're gonna have to go back.
Pablo's looking at the numbers, but if I recall, some of the numbers we looked as far as the bands that performed, and some of the expenses were probably total close to $50,000. So what we've done is we've tried to eliminate some of those costs. A lot of them were associated with the cook-off, so that that's saved us some money, and we've gotten better price on booths, things like that. So
50,000 on the city part, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. And you don't have the numbers as far as on the EDC part?
No, not accurate
Right.
numbers. No, just kind of what Mr. Rodriguez had shared with us.
Okay.
But real quick, Mr. Villalobos, the insurance that we had last year, or during the, the mafia rain out. So the insurance we had, if it rained too much, it wouldn't cover?
It would cover if, but the way the contract stated, the measurement was gonna be made at the airport in McAllen
But about rain?
about rain.
But wouldn't, on an event, the insurance we're getting is just due to the fact that if it rains, we're covered?
But it depends on how much, because if it drizzles a little bit, generally it can go on. If it's a certain amount, you can't anymore. But, I mean, we're still, I don't know what the distance is from here to McAllen Miller, 10, 11, 12 miles, whatever it is. But that's where the measurement was on the contract.
And also, you gotta remember that.
But it just doesn't make sense that, you know, you're gonna have an outdoor event. We want insurance, not because that it might be windy and it might blow the booths, that it might rain. So when we were looking at that insurance, I mean, I think we dropped the ball, as in, because if it rains so much, we're not gonna get covered. That kind of sounds.
No, you get covered when it rains.
When it rains, but since it didn't rain a certain percent, then it doesn't.
It may have, it rained, the amount of rain that was needed was probably to trigger insurance, rained here, but not in McAllen. And the measurement for the coverage was in McAllen. So it probably didn't rain in McAllen, it did rain over here. So they couldn't play, but the measurement was in McAllen.
Oh, and then,
I think also a factor as far as that, I believe it was the Noche de Paz, right, when it was raining, that one of their main boards burned out.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, that's actually what happened. What we were told, part of the issue that that Commissioner Maldonado mentioned is accurate. That, you know, we should have. It's the same plan that they had used, I think, for many years. I think it's from my understanding, and speaking to Ms. Gonzalez, that's something that Mr. Rodriguez, when he was city secretary, that's kind of what they had used, and they've used that for the same insurance for the same number of years. And that's one thing. The other thing is that the state should have been covered, especially with the elements. We've spoken to several people with that in mind of what happened, so it wouldn't happen again. And they've all mentioned to us that the actual company should be more liable, because they're liable for their own equipment, so they should have it covered. The state should have been covered as well.
And so this, in this case, this gentleman has insurance that would cover all these factors. You've checked on that. If he gets the stage, if he obtains the stage, he's going to cover that. If he obtains the bands, he's going to cover that.
From the conversation that we had, Mayor, yes, but that's something that obviously that in the contract that we would have to ensure that is a part of what we've negotiated.
did he have any idea of what kind of bands he could get?
I mean, he went out to say los huracanes, norteño, tejano, but he will come back. He was going to be making some calls as far as who was available for their particular, and he can get pretty much any band that is available. And like I said, ranging from tejano all the way to norteño, banda, whatever the case may be.
But those bands may have a price.
Right.
You
Yes.
know?
Now, are we gonna have a say on who, I mean, what kind of entertainment we're looking for, or we're gonna leave it up to him to see who's available?
But what he's going to do, he's going to bring it before and say, these are the bands that are available. Let's say he can probably get us 4 or 5 and select the top 3 that the council may wish to bring over to the city for that event.
Well, he's got a budget of
35.
35. That's what he can do.
And that's what
So
he's
it
going
ain't
to be
gonna be the
working on.
mafia.
Right. And that's what he's going to be working based on, the 35,000. And we're asking possibly bring 3 bands, if not maybe 2 good bands, and then the rest. I mean, we're trying to get this particular event to be a 2-day event. The first day to be like a mariachi type of competition, but because of the facts that we no longer have the means, we're going to shorten out to 1 day. And if that is the case, that we're only going to have a couple of entertainers, and the rest of the day, what we can do is we can bring in the mariachis to come and play before the entertainers perform. You know, so that was one of the ideas.
I have brought Ram Herrera, Palominos, all those bands, and for 3,000, 3,500. You know, and my argument with the EDC was that they would book them for 60 seconds, for 60 minutes at 10,000, where I would book them for 90 minutes. As a matter of fact, one of the they brought was David Mares, and they were willing to pay 3,500 when David Mares had sent me an email giving me 90 minutes for 3,000, and the EDC was going to hire him for 3,500 for 60 minutes. A total of difference 30 minutes of performance. Then they dropped down to, after I told the EDC, hey, look what I could get it, they dropped it down to 2,500. You know, and I understand that we have short time, that, you know, you got to go out there and do what we have to do right now. That was the problem, that if you don't know how to book them, you're paying too much for very little time. You know, and some of these bands, they come here, they travel, they play, perform on Saturday, they're done, they go to the Gaslight, they go to another event, and that's how they make their money, because they have 2 or 3 gigs at the same weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. You know, so I'm not too in favor of saying, hey, let's get somebody to do it, but at this point, I see that we're urgent time, and if you don't have the experience, you're going to have difficulty getting a good band and paying a reasonable price. That's the only reason why I'm supporting this kind of consultant to get this done and take care of it.
How much is it gonna cost us? 35. Aside from the 35, nothing?
Well,
No, he works on a percentage. So that's why he needs to work and get a good deal in the band, so his percentage could be feasible for him. You know, because if he has a budget of 35,000, and
we're only using those 35.
You're only using those 35. If you look at it at Noche de Paz, you paid 17 for La Mafia, 10,000 for Emilio Navarra, 3,500 for Raulito, 2,000 for David Maris, and then you have some other 1,800 here and there. And then you had 6,000 for the sound system, and then you had 1,700 for a power generator to run the system. So right there, you're over 35,000.
So I think today's the 5th. We're a month away.
We're a month away.
So I definitely think that it's definitely worth the getting out there, and if he's got the experience. What were the festival that he has done?
The one in Dana, I don't know the name of it.
He's done the Chisholm Trail.
Chisholm Trail.
And he's also closely with Glacier, so they do like these free concert series as well. Okay. So that's one of the main attractions that I guess one of the most attractive things about his proposal is that he's able to contact a lot of sponsorships.
Are you talking about Mr. De Los Rios?
I believe so, yes.
Oh.
David De Los Rios.
Yeah.
Nothing, ask us what size of stage is he going to put out there? Because, you know, there's a 20 by 20.
Whatever the bands dictate to what they're going to.
Oh, no, not really. You know, you got a 20 by 20, which only costs you $900, but
we'll get one with a roof.
You need a bigger one than that size.
All right. Any other questions? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
You just gonna say something, sir? I'm not sure, sir. We talked about a lot of things. Actually, we were discussing an action on Cinco de Mayo festival event. That's one. Okay, we just said that we want to have that. Second is the one we just finished, also the discussion action on hiring the event coordinator, consultant for Cinco de Mayo. Is there a motion to approve?
And take that one with, I guess, with 6-8.
That's fine. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item C, discussion on the status of the San Juan Economic Development Corporation. Mr. Arjona.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, as you know, the EDC is, we've been helping out this EDC for the past week and a half. So we're pretty much doing answering the calls for them and trying to answer whatever we can and facilitate the day-to-day work for the EDC. Now, as far as before you have some of the figures that came into play. I don't know if you'd like to go through those or.
I do. I have some questions that I'd like to clarify.
Okay.
I think there was some comments made by Commissioner Ramirez accusing of purposely looking for things so that it could affect Mr. Rodriguez. That was his quote on the advance. And of course that somehow I'm spearheading this. So I want some clarification, Mr. Garza, on the actual event that triggered the findings of which you became aware, and I know that you immediately made us aware of. if you may, Mr. Garza. When
Correct.
it came to that email that we all received.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission.
Good evening.
Basically, what happened that day, after meeting with Mr. Juan and the committee for the Cinco de Mayo, we were talking about the actual funding from the EDC, right? So I went back into my office, and after reviewing the financial statements for the month of February, I noticed that they had a loss of 42,000. So I said, okay, if he's talking about having some funding available, I went back and checked into the reserve, into the actual fund balance, and it was a negative numbers by 77,000. So right just there, I sent an email to Mr. Rodriguez and I said, hey, can we talk about the numbers? When can we meet, right? So you can actually present a plan to the city, right? And that was the way that I actually find out, by running a balance sheet and by checking into the numbers. The same way that I actually find out about the liability they have with the debt service of 218,000. So.
No, I'm sorry.
And Mr. Garza, you provided at the meeting with the EDC when they called a meeting to discuss the state of the EDC, you provided which is given here in our package, computation of self-support debt, and you also put some appendixes attached to. And at the time that you provided this for us, you highlighted that you found that there was other things that had not also been looked at, that the city had actually paid for or had been taken from a city fund, as far as and I'm looking at the document that's labeled debt service schedule, Mr. Garza.
Services schedule. I don't think I have that one.
Okay, it's given to us.
Yes, and that particular debt service, it's certificates of obligations that that they were issued out back in 2007. This ones had been paid by the city and by the EDC accordingly. However, last year, for whatever reason, the city was the one that actually paid it, and it was never reimbursed by the EDC. And we're looking at a total of 121 for one, 121,000. The other one was 49,000, and the next one was 47,000, giving us a total of $218,000 that is sold back to the city because of the fund. I mean, this particular CO. Now, like I said, it was in the previous years it was paid accordingly by the city and then refunded it by the EDC. This time around, the EDC it wasn't refunded. For what reason we have
City
no,
was not refunded.
I mean, the city was not refunded. The reason for that we have no idea. I mean, this happened back in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. So.
And my understanding is that there was by their auditor is the one that found this. Is that correct, Mr. Garza?
That was an adjustment entry made by the auditor.
Their auditor.
Their audit in 2014.
13, 14.
Well, actually, the notice for 13, but it's last year's, so it's actually the 14.
Mr. Garza, you said, when did you find this? What day was it?
I don't remember.
About a week
it was
ago?
probably
2 weeks
3
ago.
weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
Okay, and you sent out an email?
I sent out an email to Mr. Rodriguez, including the numbers, whatever numbers he was a negative, asking for him to meet with us, with the city manager and myself, so we can have a discussion and for him to present a plan to us, right?
Well, my thing, Ben, as the city manager, again, I mean, I think this is serious, what happened. I'm probably the last commissioner here to find out what happened. I haven't got a text, an email, anything from you, the city manager, letting me know what happened. I still haven't heard from you on the findings. I don't have reports. I don't have numbers. I don't have anything. All I know is that you guys came in, did what you did, found some numbers and just made some actions. I mean, again, I don't know about spearheading or what he said. I mean, I just got this week and we're all over the paper.
That's right.
You know, and again, I mean, I think this should have been handled differently. I mean, you can't just come in. We're hurting the city again. Here we go. The circus is starting. We're embarrassing. The facts are not there. Why? Because I don't even know.
Well, Commissioner, one thing I can tell you, that the minute you hear the stirrings, you make it a point to go and make contact with somebody. A discussion, although it was not the issue, it was an EDC matter that was discussed in executive. And because it was an EDC matter that requested monies to be sponsored, put in by the EDC, the discussion had to be had at that very moment. to be able to understand that this could not go forward. Had you been at that meeting, you would have understood. So the fact that you don't know is not because it's not been provided, it's because you were not there. And if you hear about it, then you can go in and ask.
I know, I'm just saying though, as like
Well,
you
don't
said,
make accusations like that.
I'm not
You're
making
accusing
any.
our
I
staff.
haven't.
You're accusing Mr. Arjona.
Well,
You're
because the
saying
comment
it.
that you made was you notified us, and who is us? Who was
I've sit
notified
on the
other than
EDC,
us?
like you said, for many,
Right,
many,
right,
many months.
Right.
And a lot of things were happening under your purview. Your being there,
As well as the
Commissioner.
city, as well as the city.
You were there.
Look at the expense that we have right now.
Look at the
cleaning up that
expenses.
deposit,
Let
that-
me give
that
you the
drop-off
expenses.
area.
Let me go through this.
Why?
October.
You were mayor. You were mayor.
October.
So
Yes,
now we have
and you
these
know what?
expenses. Now we have
Every
these
time,
expenses, but,
every time,
this
Commissioner,
you were quick to find. You were
every
quick to
time,
find,
well,
right?
definitely,
Yeah,
Commissioner.
But the other one, look at how much it's costing us. Thousands of dollars over there.
Look
as
at
well.
Mr. Commissioner.
You see?
Every time we
Right.
have expenses in the city of San Juan, what do? I spend time going over line items that are getting ready to be
And
maxed
did
out.
we all
Do you
just
do
receive
it?
today?
No,
We just
you don't do
received
it.
today. No
You
backup
had-
on anything that was on the agenda today.
You.
No backup at all.
You.
None.
Well, I don't put
Zero.
the package together, sir. But I'm going to tell you what I got at an EDC meeting. At an EDC meeting, they provided statements of the BBVA accounts, which you got to see for every time that you went and they were provided for you, you got to see them. And not only did you get to
As
see
did
them,
Mr. Garcia.
you got to also enjoy some of these expenses that were done. You went to a dinner.
I didn't go to Los Angeles.
You went to
Or
a dinner
Flovia.
in
I didn't
Rudy's.
go to Los Angeles.
You went to a dinner, and there at that meeting, Bobby, the attorney, and you spent $114 in one meal. You went to Austin, and whoever you went to Austin with, you all went to Eddie's, a steakhouse, and you all spent over $400. You were watching as there was travel taking place month after month after month, knowing October, November, December. It should have known that there was a deficit. You were there when Bobby gave every single one of you cups, $500 on cups for the board, and you got one. Engraved, another $300. A dinner for $1,300 for all of you. Gifts for $600 for all of you. Turkeys for all of you. All from a BVA account that you all get to see. We have breakfasts that are being paid by the city for investors. If Bobby saw so many investors, which I don't have a list of who they were, we would be looking like New York City right now. Because this was like all the time. And you participated in this, and you were part of this. And it's very easy to turn your eye to it, Commissioner. It's very easy to do it when you're having benefits and when that people are aligned with you. And that's why. And when you make accusations that this is to ruin Bobby, no, Bobby ruined the EDC. Decisions that were made, and you all sat there complacently watching this happen and did nothing. And now you're upset because you don't know where it all came from? How can it be that we are so far behind the EDC and those doors have to be shut down? Tell me who Elida Rodriguez is that we pay 4 times or 3 times in 1 month over $2,000. Who is she?
You need to, Mayor, again, you tell me,
Exactly.
How come we're barely finding this now?
Well, let me tell you, there's a reason.
I don't
There's
know.
a
I don't
reason,
have records.
Commissioner.
I just want
There is a
records.
reason we are put there as official for the EDC. That's why I've got this and we're talking about it. I'm reporting to you. He sat there for 14 months or more. And when did he report back on the EDC? 0. Never. That's what I'm saying. So don't stand here and act like you are trying to defend and somebody's being attacked. You are a part of it. You saw what it is, and you need to stop making accusations.
Ben.
And then what you need to do is take interest in what's happening. Rather than that, let's find a solution. Rather than going out there and talk about all this is a campaign thing, it's political. This isn't political, it's called a deficit.
Special meeting, nobody wanted to have it, so.
Why are we going to have a special meeting when the EDC is trying to decide what to do, and we've discussed it? Why? Because you decide not to be at that meeting.
So we could get the information.
That's right. You were there all the time. You should have known him by heart, Mr. Commissioner. You should have.
Okay, guys.
I was
guys,
out of town that day, so.
Guys,
but-
real quick, just Ben, according to the paper, you're the interim now.
He's not an interim.
Oh, okay, well.
And that's something that Mr. Mitchell there has to correct.
Okay, well, again, that's what I read, again, because since I don't know, guys, nobody's communicating with me.
Then pick up the phone and call somebody.
Well, again, the mayor says we're the boss, so, and you guys
Pick up
are
the
not
phone and
reporting.
call.
Okay, well, now I'm gonna start
Good.
treating you guys like a boss.
Mr. Maldonado, if I may, right after these findings when we met with Mr. Garza and Mr. Rodriguez, right after that, I sent an email to the whole commission stating that we will no longer be taking the accounts payables or processing accounts payables for the EDC, nor the payroll, and what was the other one, sir?
That's it, just payroll and accounts payable.
Accounts payables and payroll, which is the direct deposit. That was the other item. I sent that out to the whole commission, and it was on this particular day, which I should have brought a copy of that email that I sent to everybody. But I did inform right away the whole commission as far as that the city will no longer be processing the accounts payables, payroll, or direct deposits because of the lack of funding on the EDC. And like Mr. Villalobos stated, it's unconstitutional for the city to be providing funding to the EDC directly.
If I can just get copies of the reports, anything that you guys found, just something that you can email me. Now, just a quick question, Ben, is the EDC, I mean, in those terms, broke? Broke meaning flat, bankrupt, no money.
They don't have any spending capital?
But I'm talking broke. Do they have any kind of assets, properties, acreage, something they can sell, give to us if they owe us, go to a bank, get a loan, anything like that? Are they broke, or do they do have some assets?
They do have some assets, because they do have like 4 properties, so assets they do have, you know.
But again, so
Now-
all over
now-
the paper is
yeah.
they're broke, you know? And again, my thing is, whatever the findings, that's fine, guys. If there's a trail, my thing is, again, the notification one, but let's talk about this. Let's go into it. Behind closed doors, Mayor, you could have gone over there, locked yourself in his office. Mr. Arjona,
But what,
get
be
in there.
accused of
I don't-
picking on
I
him?
don't
The way I
know.
get accused?
I don't know.
No.
I'm just saying.
Let's do it
and
here.
then
Let's
figure
do it
out-
here.
But again, you know.
And we did do it at the EDC, so you didn't make that meeting. It was open to the public.
was like,
You know, you gotta understand that it was not hard to visual what was gonna happen. You know, in May of last year, the director requested a 9% raise, and
Oh
they
my
gave a
God.
9% raise across the board to all the employees they had there. They came back in December, and they went for a bonus, and they gave him $688 as a bonus. He came back in the last meeting that I attended in January 21st, and he was, you know, he gave a form from 3%, 5%, 10%, or 15%. 15% was gonna pick him up like from 66,000 to 80,000. You know, why would you put a 15%? Because he knew that the majority of the board was there, and he was gonna get probably a 15%. I went ahead and tackled that out and said, hey, we cannot do this. We not even to the city, we gave 2 raises in 1 year. And this was high raises in the same year, a bonus. And then besides that, he had 4 mini grants, 1 for 1,000, another for 1,000, 2 for 2,000. He had also a contract for the engineer to get the engineer on staff for the EDC. You know, finally they made a motion to approve him and gave him a $500 retainer fee. He had 2 contracts for 2 consultants for $3,000 a month, which got approved in that meeting. You know, here's all this spending. It doesn't take a genius just to see when you're spending this much money, it's going to affect something. You know, and that's besides other pledges he did of $5,000 to some organization, $10,000 to another organization. So that tells you that if you have a budget of $1 million and you're spending this kind of money, it's not going to take you too far.
Now that you brought that up, how many of those items did you vote against? Because you were on the EDC as well.
I voted on the first raise, yes. You know, and I did vote on the bonus. I totally was against this one.
This one,
Yeah.
you're right.
And I did vote when we put the attorney there to terminate him. I voted against him. And I did vote against I did challenge the Ronnie Cruz on that engineer, and I voted against it.
Right.
I did vote on the consultant because they were already working, and I did question the consultants why did they needed a 2-year contract. So you were there.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
now, like you were saying, you also participated in some of those. You went to Austin, you know, and you were out at the Eddies. You were out there at Rudy's.
No, I didn't go to Rudy's.
Okay, so several places you were.
but again,
You know, and that's
again,
what tell you.
regardless,
No, it's not.
And I will admit to what,
It's
you
not.
know, that I
It's not again, Mr. Maldonado. He's asking me.
Right.
What did I
Sure,
vote? And I'm
exactly,
asking where he
exactly.
participated also.
again, so and then in
You know,
all,
right.
but in all, Mr. Garcia, in all,
Let's not say they did it, because I remember
No.
that one meeting I told you, don't
But-
say they, Because you're
but I'm
voting
saying
for
they, when the director is recommending,
That's
he,
all it was, a
he did,
recommendation.
he did the recommendation.
Right, and you
because
all
be-
voted,
No,
yes or
well,
no?
you gotta understand one thing, he had the majority,
It
and
didn't matter.
he handpicked
The
it. when-
majority right here is not in my favor, and if I see something wrong, I still vote no. I
Well-
don't vote yes just because it's gonna pass.
Well, when we were,
That's the difference between you and I.
when we were there, you knew that the majority, he was the the
didn't
president
matter?
of the EDC. It did matter,
Well,
because when you came back, he put
make
the,
a point.
he put, my
Mr.
point is
Mr.
that
Garcia.
the campus bank account
Stop,
was
guys.
started there when the director was there. So it was not nothing new that he didn't know the budget when he was president for several years of the EDC and became director. So he was probably aware of everything was going on, that he was presenting something to the board that didn't make sense, and you were closed, with your eyes closed and accepting it. That's a totally different thing.
So what we need to,
Well, I
Mr.
voted several times against.
What I'd like to know, I know we've got the presidents of the EDC here present, and I know there's some action that needs to be taken. Where are we in this recovery process to try to get the EDC doors open? And what are we anticipating as them being shut for how long?
We're doing some figures, Mr. Garza and I, and we're estimating that between 3 to 4 months, we should be back in the positive numbers. Now, he did a cash flow analysis on it, and based on the, their overhead, their expenditures, and whatever we're estimating that is coming in as the sales tax revenues, we should be back up and running within, like I said, the next 3 to 4 months on a positive number.
Okay. Ms. Salazar, did you all request a audit, internal audit? And you're focusing on what? Are you able to share that with us? Okay, but that audit is gonna be done how and when?
It'll be an internal audit, Mayor.
All right, and the sooner you get to that, the faster. Who has access to the accounts at this point? The banking accounts and the... Okay.
Once we get permission to pretty much go in and change the, I guess, the passwords and the usernames and stuff, we can take a closer look as to getting Mr. Garza access to that so that we can start working on the audit. But we need to start. We need to get the permission from the attorney. So it's stating that we're allowed to go in there to the to check in on the accounts.
So when you say accounts, is it the Compass account and the EDC account, or just?
There's a Plains Capital account,
Okay.
and then you have the Compass account. There's 2 accounts that they have. And then the other thing that is highly recommended, that has never been done, it's always been done like this, is that and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Garza, the account that the EDC currently has is together with the pool account, which is the cities, and that one has to be separate.
Excuse me.
And it is not separate at this point. So that's one of the first things that we need to work on, is splitting that account, the EDC on one account and the city pool cash account on the other.
Very good. What I'd like to see is an update, at least on when we have our regular city meetings, if there's any kind of change or updates,
Okay.
so that we can continue. And I'll bring whatever I find or are able to obtain from the meetings that I'll attend.
Okay. We'll do.
Thank you. Moving on, discussion and action regarding the legal services agreement. Mr. Arjona?
Yes, speaking to Mr. Villalobos, as far as his contract goes, we're talking about the same as the previous city attorney, which we're looking at, what was it, Mr. Villalobos, 170?
Mayor, Commissioner, if I may, generally it's very simple. It's pretty much the same. I've had 18 years of experience doing this type of work. I'm okay to do it the same as the previous attorney, 170. I don't charge for staff, for expenses, for any of that stuff, and I serve at the pleasure of the council.
So any work you do, Mr. Villalobos, it's going to be itemized?
Pardon?
Itemized, everything?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And you're not going to charge me every time you see me in the hallway at the court, are you?
I promise.
All right. You pay for your own fees? that, for your upkeep and any kind of registrations that you,
Oh, no, no, definitely, no, no.
we're
I
not
have-
paying anything for you?
The city does nothing, absolutely nothing for me. Should there be expenses for something, of course, reimbursement. If we have to file a lawsuit or something, I put up the fees and I get reimbursed. But as far as CLEs or any of that stuff, no.
Okay, I also don't want to see in there, Mr. Munoz, Jerry Munoz put in a clause that he wanted a referral fee of 10% for anything that he was not able to do. He would charge us 10% to send it to another attorney.
Very simple, 170, and that is it.
Okay.
Itemized, nothing for staff, nothing for copies, faxes, any of that stuff. And y'all can get rid of me whenever y'all want to.
All right, so you'll present that to Mr. Arjona for signature. All right. We need to take an action on that to,
We contact you through the city manager, or can we contact you directly?
I gave everybody my mobile number. Y'all can contact me.
I don't have your
directly.
mobile number.
I'll give it to you again.
I know I called your office, but I didn't get a call back, so if you can give me your cell.
all right, is there a motion for approval?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. On contractual resolutions, A, consider authorizing the city manager to enter a contract with, haven't we done this? With the event coordinator for the Cinco de Mayo festival events. Yes. All right, so that's the same one. B, consider authorizing the city manager to move $20,000 under the general fund in the IT department for software line item and capital outlay to machine and equipment, other equipment and capital outlay. Mr. Baca.
Good evening, Mayor Commissioners.
Good evening.
This move of money is going to be within the capital outlay, so it's going to be from one line item to another within the capital outlay. It's going from software to hardware. And this is going towards a project for enhancing or upgrading our wireless system, our wireless infrastructure for the city. This, particularly the link between City Hall and the water tower on the highway, and the PD link to the water tower. And basically, we're doing this now because we have a problem with bandwidth and with reliability. The bandwidth problem that we have is related to backups, because we back up everything at City Hall and we back up everything at PD, and we cross-vault from PD to City Hall and from City Hall to PD. So whatever we back up on one site, we send to the other site, and this goes into the disaster recovery plan in case the building, God forbid, gets on fire or something happens in the building or a flood or anything. We still have the data on another site. Unfortunately, the sites are not too far away from each other, but this is one way to do it. The other thing is bandwidth. This is bandwidth, so what's happening is at night, those backups are going from one site to another, and they're creating a bottleneck because they're taking a very long time to finish. And they're going all the way till the morning hours when the staff come back to work, and the backups are still going from one site to another. Another thing is the link between City Hall and the water tower. We're having lots of interference on it. The reason being is we're using 5 gigahertz channels, which are the most widely used channels, wireless channels, and it's creating lots of interference. So this project does two things. It bumps up the bandwidth that we have from 25 megs to 1,000. So we would be able to push, instead of 25 to the water tower, we're going to push 1,000, which is basically the speed of a fiber line, but through air, through wireless. So that also will help us with future projects, like maybe cameras on the streets or other departments that we hook up to the system. We will have enough bandwidth for a long time. Another thing is we're going to change the channel frequency from 5 gigahertz to between 60 and 80 gigahertz. Those are high interference-free gigahertz, and that's why they're expensive. At that point, when we did the wireless, it would be very, very expensive to hook up all the departments using 60 to 80 gigahertz links because it's very expensive. And the cost that we put 3.5 years ago was close to $28,000. So this 20 will take care of, hopefully, the infrastructure for another, maybe anticipated 5 to 6 years, hopefully.
Very good. And cost of fiber would be way.
We do have fiber. We have fiber at the PD and we have fiber at City Hall. But these are fibers coming from the providers, the internet service providers, into our system. But to hook up departmental fiber, like from one department to another, is going to be extremely expensive. We can't afford that. So that's why originally we went wireless 3 years ago, because it's very inexpensive.
Sure.
And we get to maintain it. So there is no monthly cost for any of these projects. The one that we did 3.5 years ago, we haven't paid any money towards that project until today. And this is the same thing. There's no monthly fees for anything. This is a one-time payment.
So, Mr. Baca, I know that one of the things that we've spoken about is cameras in those areas where you see a lot of the dumping, illegal dumping.
Yes.
Does it have to, what's the range that you're able to get this, how far from, the range of, if we have a camera deep in a neighborhood or?
We can have it in McAllen.
Excellent.
It's more like a point of sight.
Yes, it's site to site. The benefit, well, there's another benefit of this project is that the radio that we're taking down from City Hall, because we're upgrading, and the radio that we're taking down from PD, because we're upgrading, those are two radios that we can use towards that project. And that's what I was discussing with Mr. Arjona. So all what we need now is a camera, to buy the cameras, and we can already put from 2 to 4 cameras using those radios that we're getting from City Hall and PD, which are completely functional, and that's how the departments are functioning right now on the same radios. So,
any questions for Mr. Baca? If not, is there a motion for approval as presented? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
The opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Baca. Consent agenda of the item A, April the 1st, April 20th, April 28th, August 6th, 17th, August 17th, August 20th, September the 2nd, September the 9th, September the 15th, and March 22nd. Are any of those needed to be pulled? If not, is there a motion for approval? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. The City of San Juan Commission will convene into executive session in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Vernon's Texas statute and codes annotated, Government Code Chapter 551, Subchapter D, exceptions to requirement that the meeting be open, Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.087, deliberating regarding economic development negotiation, more specifically, pending or contemplated litigation regarding San Juan Parks and Recreation Board issues, and deliberating regarding the economic development negotiations, to deliberate of financial or other incentives to a business prospect meeting this description. We will enter at 6:57.
In my opinion, the item should be discussed as proper for executive session.
Thank you, Council. With San Juan City Commission at 7:54 regarding the items A, 551.072, pending contemplated litigation regarding San Juan Parks and Recreation Board issues. There'll be no action. Item B, 551.087, deliberating regarding economic development negotiations. There'll be no action. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned at 7:54.